Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
We want to play the guy that's the most ready to give us the best chance, but we also want to continue to develop guys that can compete at this position in the future, and that's kind of where it is right now.
We've been waiting. You ready?
Wow.
It's game week, man. And we're down to two quarterbacks that look like they're going to play on Saturday night. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. I hope I didn't pop my mic because I popped my eardrums. No changes, though, on the TI TV desk. It's the same two as always. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm Gary Harris. Diet Pepsi tonight. Jacob, first time bringing the Pepsis in. You barely made it tonight, buddy. It's game week. Everybody's got to be ready. Got to have a little extra pep in your step, right, Ron?
Hey, you do.
All right. The biggest news to come out of yesterday's first game week press conference for Nick Saban is that Jalen Hurts is now at least not in the quarterback battle heading into Saturday night's game against USC in Arlington, Texas, at least according to Saban. It's a two-man race now for playing time on Saturday night, Blake Barnett and Cooper Bateman. Now, both are likely to play, according to Saban, against the Trojans. Here's what tight end O.J. Howard had to say about what both players, Rodney, bring to the table.
The experience those guys have, especially Cooper, been around for a long time for us here. And both guys have done a great job of being leaders in the huddle, knowing what to do at the line of scrimmage, audibling when it's necessary. I think that has really set those two guys apart and has given them the chance to both be quarterbacks for us.
Now, Rod, a lot of hype over the few weeks of fall camp about the true freshman Jalen Hurts. But yesterday, Coach Saban said, put the brakes on it a little bit, not so fast. He said it's Bateman and Barnett, although he did not rule out Jalen Hurts playing this season. What are your thoughts, based on the comments the head coach had yesterday, about what we're going to see on Saturday night in terms of the two quarterbacks, Bateman and Barnett?
Well, I took from it that, listening to his comments, that the experience factor certainly played as O.J. Howard said, played a role in terms of, their knowledge of the offense, their comfortability with it. As Cooper Bateman's been around a while, he's been running it. Last year he was the backup for 15 weeks. Well, actually started 1 week against Ole Miss, but had all that preparation time. I really thought that gave him a huge advantage in terms of, the experience. And again, Blake Barnett's been around a little bit longer as well. So both of those guys are guys that have shown improvement. Blake Barnett was a highly touted guy coming out of California. He's really gotten bigger, stronger, throwing the ball with more confidence throughout fall camp. And, Gary, I thought he looked really good in the A-Day game. I know he struggled in the scrimmages last spring, but he came into fall camp. I think he's made some improvement in the scrimmage type setting. And as far as Jalen Hurts is concerned, I thought that Nick Saban's comments were really very revealing. I mean, he made some comments. Have you ever heard him that glowing about a young quarterback prospect?
Really haven't. I think he did want to make it clear that while Saturday night the plan, at least this is what he told us the plan is, to play Bateman and Barnett, they're still really high on Hurts. Nothing has changed in that regard. And I did think he kept the door open for Jalen to play this year.
Yeah, I certainly did. And there's maybe even a possibility he plays Saturday night, depending on the situation. But again, these two guys right now are the guys that are going to lead this team. I think when you look at all the new faces on offense, I think it's very important to have someone with some experience that's been in the program a little bit to kind of, pull everything together with the new parts.
Rodney, let me say this too, and Coach Saban's always shot pretty straight with us, but coaches have said things in press conferences before and did something else in the game. I mean, it has happened.
Well, things can change.
Yeah,
we're still going through a week of practice.
So, I mean, I am going to go with what he said. I think, and I've said all along, I think Cooper Bateman takes the first snap at quarterback. Now, the first snap could go to Ridley or Scarborough. He might do something like that. You never know with Lane Kiffin. But I do think that Barnett will play. But, again, depending on how the game goes, depending on what happens during the season, I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that Jalen Hurts plays pretty early in this deal, too.
Oh, I think he's still clearly in the race. Coach Saban did not, indicate in any way that he was out of it.
If not on Saturday night, maybe in week 2. Another surprise from Coach Saban yesterday was that Ross Piercebacker and Bradley Bozeman have basically switched positions on the offensive line. Coach Saban said Bozeman will start at center and Piercebacker will start at left guard. Now, Piercebacker has been training at center all spring and fall, at least from what we've seen. And here he is talking about how he found out about the switch.
I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week. I was walking into meetings and Coach told me, "You're going to guard today." You know, I just thought it was for practice, but I guess not.
And make that clear, it's right guard he's going to play at. He started 15 games at left guard last year. Pierce Baker at right guard, Bozeman at center. And this Bozeman kid, we've known him since coming out of high school. Know his dad. They love Alabama. A mauler. I thought maybe he was a little bit better equipped to play guard, but remember a couple years ago when Kelly went down, he did a good job. I remember going to Arkansas and played center that entire game against the Razorbacks.
He came in a difficult situation when Kelly got hurt against Ole Miss over there in 2014. Did a nice job to finish out the game. He got better. He's also played some at guard. He's got some game experience at both positions. And I agree with you. I thought he did a nice job. He's a guy that has been very valuable as a swing player, a guy that can play so many different positions. He's even lined up at the tackle spots in spring practice. So, you know, he brings a lot of versatility. And I'll tell you one thing I kind of like about this move with Pierce Baker going to right guard is the fact that he had 15 games as a starter last year as a redshirt freshman. So he's got some really good experience. He's got great versatility, obviously. And now you put him on the right side alongside a true freshman, Jonah Williams, who I think's got a ton of potential. Obviously, going to be an outstanding player. You don't start your first game as a true freshman.
A lot.
I think he can help him a lot, certainly.
And Alphonse Taylor today found not guilty of DUI. He started 15 games at right guard last year, so he's still around too. So the offensive line might wind up being pretty good. Well, still to come on Tighter Insider Television. Alabama's a double-digit favorite against USC. Are we underestimating the Trojans? We'll hear from USC's head coach about playing the defending champs. And we will also be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and your tweets. The number there on the screen to contact us, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. There's the email address, and you can tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the award-winning Tighter Insider TV. We'll return in 2 minutes. Well, you run for over 12,000 yards in high school. That's a record, by the way. You get yourself a mural. Yulee High School in Florida put up this mural of Heisman winner Derrick Henry just in time for the start of high school football season. Derrick is currently prepping for his rookie season in the NFL with the Tennessee Titans. He set records in high school, at Alabama, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did it in the NFL as well. Welcome back to TITV. I'm Gary Harris with Rodney Orr, and a lot of Alabama fans are feeling pretty confident heading into Saturday night's game and the season opener against USC. But Coach Saban has a warning. This USC team, they're good.
Southern Cal has got an outstanding team, in my opinion. Clay Helton has been there for a good while, and they've been very productive offensively under him. They have 9 starters back on offense, which very, very good offensive team. I mean, a couple of really good runners. Juju Smith's a good receivers we're going to play against all year, and I think it's going to be a real challenge for us in many, many ways.
Rod, Coach Saban sees it as a challenge, and he should. This is a talented team. He mentioned Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver, maybe as good as any wide receiver, including Calvin Ridley in the country. Adoree Jackson, their corner, wants a shot at Ridley. He also plays offense. Big, powerful offensive line. 2 good running backs. Max Brown, the quarterback, yeah, maybe he hasn't done much, but he was the 5-star high school player of the year coming out a few years ago. They got football players at USC now.
Yes, they do. I mean, they've recruited extremely well. I know because they maybe haven't had the success that they once had here recently that a lot of people think, well, this is a really good football team. They're scary because, like you said, they are very talented. You look at the offensive line, they got 4 guys that are all Pac-12 type players. Now, Chad Wheeler, the left tackle, supposedly won't play, but the guy they're replacing him with now, Chuma Odogo, he is really a good player too. Alabama recruited him out of Marietta, Georgia a few years ago. So, they're getting their numbers back up, Gary. That's extremely important when you talk about the depth. That's been one of their issues in recent years after the NCAA sanctions, but they're coming back now. And you look at all the talent they've got. You talk about Juju Smith-Schuster. He's a 220-pound receiver, caught 89 passes last year for close to 1,500 yards. Again, an outstanding player. 2 900-plus yard rushers, including Ronald Jones, who set the freshman USC record with 987 yards last year. Hey, they've had a lot of great running backs at USC through the years, so that really says something. And Max Brown, you talked about him. He's inexperienced, Gary, certainly as a quarterback. I think he's thrown less than 20, 25 passes in his career. He's going into his 4th year there as a redshirt junior. But, he came out of high school highly recruited. You remember Alabama under Doug Nussmeier, who was offensive coordinator, recruited him extremely hard. Came out the same class as Cooper Bateman, if you remember. So, again, this is a talented team when you look on the offensive side.
Well, great analysis, Rodney. And, of course, the flip side is that USC has to face all this Alabama talent. Here's what their head coach, Clay Helton, had to say about playing the Crimson Tide in this question and answer courtesy of USC Athletics.
Well, it's game one. We've taken the approach that we took last year. I think that in this league and with this schedule, every game's a championship game, and there's no game more important than the next. And this is our next game up, the opportunity to play the defending national champion, the #1 team in the nation, with Coach Saban coaching it. What a great opportunity, what a great challenge. We know that it's a big game for our fans. It's a great game for college football, and we welcome the opportunity.
And later on, Rod and I will have our picks, first picks of 2016. Well, 2 weeks ago, Jamie Mosley picked up a football scholarship from walk-on to scholarship. Now, recently, 3 more walk-ons earned their scholarships. We'll have more on the latest players that are going to get their education paid for this season. And up next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. There's the information on the screen on how you get in touch with us. You better go ahead and call because the lines are lighting up. Also, you can tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with more after this. This is always a fun story to do. Tight ends Truett Harris and Brandon Moore, along with defensive back Levi Wallace, are now scholarship players on the Alabama football team. All 3 walked on at least 3 years ago, but on this past Friday, Coach Saban awarded the trio with scholarships, man. This is great. They joined C.J. Mosley's younger brother, Jamie, who earned a scholarship a couple of weeks ago. And congratulations to those guys. And if the Harris name sounds familiar, it should.
Yep. And I got a trivia for you. I know it's probably not fair, but if anybody
And not because it's my last name, but for another reason.
Yeah. All right, Jim Bob Harris was a freshman, true freshman, 1978, okay? That's Truett Harris's dad.
Right.
All right, he made his first interception against who?
USC.
Exactly. You remember the play?
I do, actually.
Beautiful play, diving interception.
Needed a couple more interceptions in that game.
Yeah. Well, we threw 4. So.
Yeah. And they needed more on the other side because Alabama threw their 24-14. Charles White, 199.
On 29.
Yeah, on 29 was a bad day for the Crimson Tide. Hoping for better results on Saturday night in Arlington, Texas. Rodney, I always throw a little trivia at you, but Truett Harris and all those guys, congratulations. All right, let's go to the phone lines. First up is John in Cordova. Welcome in, John. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. What's up?
My question is you think Alabama's going to come out passing it, or you think they're going to run their regular offense?
Good question. Go ahead, John.
And we should overlook. I don't think we should overlook them because I think it's going to be a close game. But I got the score being something like 30-17, Alabama.
All right, brother. We'll keep that in mind. That's a good question, because I do think Alabama is going to do what they do offensively. Now, might they take a shot over the top early on? It would not shock me if they were to just take a shot with Ridley or Foster or one of those guys down the field.
Yeah, I mean, you just really never know how a team's going to come out of the gate, what the plan is. And, certainly you look at Bateman, you look at Barnett, both those guys capable of throwing the ball. I think, in the game last year against Ole Miss, Cooper Bateman was 11 of 14. The question is, can he throw it down the field consistently? But, again, I don't know how aggressive they plan to be initially with the young quarterbacks in the first game.
But they want to get that run game going with Scarborough, Harris, Emmons, Jacobs, those guys too. You can bet on that. But it wouldn't surprise me, John, if they took a shot. Let's go over to Gadsden and talk with Charles. Charles, welcome into the program. How are you?
Hey, well said, Gary.
All right, Charles.
I want to ask you, Rodney, got any ideas on who might be taking Cyrus Jones' place as a kick returner?
Yeah, we do have some idea, Rod. It's a couple really talented guys that can fly.
Yeah, I think it looks like Calvin Ridley may initially be the punt return guy, but watch out for freshman Trevon Diggs. I think he's got a ton of ability, as we've talked about for weeks and weeks, Charles. Here's a guy that can play both ways, might play both ways in this game, certainly could lend a hand at safety very early, could get some snaps at wide receiver and return kicks. He's listed first team on kickoff returns and number 2 behind Ridley on punt returns. So we'll see.
Yeah, might even see Garrett Diener in there for a kickoff return too, possibly.
You possibly could.
All right, thanks for those phone calls. Real quick email we want to get to before the break from Gary and Alina. Do you think Jalen Hurts will redshirt, or will the coaches create an offense package for him against USC? Great question. I don't think he's going to redshirt. Initially, I would have told you, yeah. But if they're going to play the other two guys, but I don't think he is. Now, whether or not they create a package for him, Gary, I don't know. I think if he comes in at some point, he may just run the regular offense.
Yeah.
I mean,
I definitely believe that in time. There's not much question about that. Now, what he would do initially would remain to be seen. Now, it's really difficult to predict, will he redshirt or will he not? I'm just going to give you my guess. I would be a little bit surprised if he did at this point.
All right, good stuff. Good phone calls. More coming up on TITV. Keep it tuned right here at WVUA 23. Welcome back to TITV. The phone lines are lit up. Let's try to get some more calls in. Let's go to Oxford. Talk to Shane. Shane, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well. What you got?
I'm just wondering if y'all knew what was the beef between Jack Del Rio and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, Shane, I mean, I've heard that for years, obviously, with Luke Del Rio. Leaving Alabama after Doug Nussmeier left, there was some innuendo out there that Jack Del Rio, the head coach of the Raiders, didn't want Luke playing for Lane Kiffin. I don't know. Jack Del Rio was a great player at USC. Lane Kiffin was the head coach there. I can't really comment any further than what I've heard, probably some of the same rumors that you've heard, but I don't know.
I've heard those same rumors, but who knows? I don't even know if there's validity here.
That's about all I can say on it, Shane. It really doesn't matter now. Luke Del Rio's at Florida, playing for Doug Nussmeier and Jim McElwain. Alabama's got some good quarterbacks, but we'll see how it all plays out for both these teams with their QBs. Let's stay here in Tuscaloosa and talk to David. David, welcome into the program, man.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Doing great.
I was wondering about William Vallejo. Maybe if y'all could comment a little bit when he was here and where he is now.
Yeah, we can do it.
Maybe if we recruited a true center like he was.
Yeah, William Vallejos was a tough football player, as you know. A little undersized in terms of his height. In fact, I think should Sheila sign him? Or did he sign with Saban?
Yes.
Coming out of Mountain Brook.
Yes.
And may not have gotten signed with Saban because Saban has all these height weight criteria, but was a great football player. Now he's on the staff here, isn't he, Rodney?
Yes, he is. I assume it's a GA position. I know that he is part of the program, but again, I don't know his official role. But, yeah, he's been around a few years, and he did a tremendous job. There's no question about that.
Yeah, he was a tough football player. All right, let's stay here in T-Town and talk to Martin. Martin, welcome in. How are you, man? He's gone. All right. You want to try to get an email in real quick, Brandon, or? All right, let's. Martin had sent this in. What has become of David Cornwell? He's still on the team. He's got a foot injury that severely limited him during fall camp. He's still held out of some work, in fact, but he's still here. And he's on the squad, does not factor in this year. What he's going to do after this season, if he's going to stick it out and try to compete in 2017 or if he goes somewhere else, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's a guy that came here from Oklahoma with a lot of talent, Gary, and he's got a big arm. And, really he throws it as well as anybody. But as you mentioned, that foot injury certainly has slowed him down.
Yeah, he can sling it, though. That's for sure. All right, still to come, it's game week. Thanks for the phone calls, by the way. And that means Rodney and I make our first game picks. Rodney, I tell you what, it wouldn't shock me if he went with the Trojans. He's always been enamored with USC football.
I love those colors.
All right, we'll be back with our picks right here on the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the one, the only, Tider Insider Television. Former Bama golfer Trey Mullinax is going to join a lot of other Crimson Tide buddies on the PGA Tour next year. He earned his tour card by finishing in the top 25 money earners on the Web.com Tour. He was 8th overall for the Web.com regular season. Now in his second professional season, Mullinax won one Web.com tournament and placed in the top 10 in two others. And a lot of former Bama players on the PGA Tour, so he'll be welcomed with open arms. All right, last year, guess what the one was? Yeah. It was Ole Miss. We both picked Bama to beat Ole Miss, but Rodney and I picked Alabama all 15 times last year. And actually, we came out pretty close, 14-1 out of 15 games. Well, Rodney, now it's a brand new season. Nothing matters for Alabama from last year, or for our picks for that matter. The Tide and the Trojans, great intersectional rivalry. We've seen some great matchup through the years between these two teams. How do you see it playing out Saturday night?
Well, again, we talked earlier about USC, and we talked about how maybe some people were underrating them. I really don't think you can do that. I think when you talk about their talent level, it's certainly, the recruiting that they've done has been fantastic. But you look at Alabama, you look at the offensive side of the ball, a lot of new faces. You're talking about really 4 new guys or in different spots on the offensive line. You're talking about a new center. You're talking about a new quarterback. You're talking about new running backs. I think Damian Harris and Bo Scarborough only have 16 64 carries between them. So, again, there are a lot of new faces on the offensive side of the ball. But when I look at this Alabama defense, I think it's loaded. I think it's got a chance to be one of Alabama's best defenses they've had. That's saying a lot. I think they're extremely fast, maybe the fastest defense Alabama's had. USC is going to have trouble scoring. I think Alabama wins a game 27-13.
Well, Rodney, you said something about the defense, and all you need to know is that when two players the caliber of Rashaan Evans and Deshaun Hand are second on the depth chart, it's pretty good. They're going to play in the NFL. Probably would start for any other team in the country. They're going to play a lot, but they are listed as second team on the depth chart. This defense is good. It's really, really good. Potentially maybe the best Alabama's had. So I think the Tide is going to win the game. I, like you, though, have a lot of respect for USC. I think they're good. We're pretty similar in the scores, but I just think Alabama is better. And plus, you look at Nick Saban in these season-opening neutral site games, he's unbeaten at Alabama. I think another one bites the dust on Saturday night in Arlington. 27-13 for Rod, 31-17 for Gary. We'll find out next week. We'll find out actually Saturday night how we did. All right, our beautiful shirts and ties provided as always by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. Now, I would encourage you when you're in town to go by and see Alex and Rush and the courteous staff there at the Locker Room. Let them personally fit you. But if you're not coming to town, you can shop online at their website, locker-room.biz. I mean, this black shirt I'm wearing tonight is one of my favorites. And if they don't have the elephant wear on the shirt, find the shirt you want, and they'll put it on there for you, won't they, Ron?
They will.
They've done it for
me
us
many
before.
times.
Yeah, so go by and see them. And a reminder, too, that if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch the replay tonight at 10:30, right after the WVUA 23 news at 10. And, of course, you can catch it online anytime at WVUA23.com. So we're wrapping it up again in case you just joined us. So we barely mentioned it, but good news for Alphonse Taylor today. He was found not guilty of a DUI charge from back on July the 17th. Still suspended, but has been practicing with the team. So good news for Alphonse Taylor.
Great news.
All right, for Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you again next week on TI TV. Have a great night.
All guys that have been here for 4 or more years. Harris, Brandon, and rebound